Your destination is on the left.
Hello, today we're going to go to Plymouth Rock and explore the Mayflower 2 and so much more. So come with us to see what we can see. First off, let me tell you, it's very difficult to find parking here. The only spot that was open was on street that you did have to pay. So just be aware. Just across the street from the Plymouth Candy Company, which by the way has some really good taffy, is the Mayflower 2. At the time of our visit, the Mayflower 2 was open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Of course, there are some holidays and bank holidays that the Mayflower 2 is closed, so check before you go. At the time we visited, the cost was adults $19, seniors $17.10, and children were $13. Now, if you combine the Mayflower 2 with the Plymouth Gristmill and the Plymouth Patuxent 17th century village combination, you can save a little bit of money. To see what those prices are, go to my Plymouth Patuxent video. There's so much to know about the Mayflower 2, I'm going to let my buddy Davis tell you a little more about it.
Along with national treasures such as the Statue of Liberty and the Lincoln Memorial, Mayflower is an iconic symbol of freedom. Of the hundreds of ships that made the transatlantic crossing in the 1600s, she is the ship we remember. 300 years later, on June 13, 1957, a full-scale reproduction arrived in Plymouth Harbor, the Mayflower 2. Since then, Mayflower 2 has become the majestic centerpiece of historic Plymouth Harbor and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. In many ways, America is the product of the events that happened in Plymouth and native Patuxent over 4 centuries ago. The choices made, risks taken, and the adaptation of community structures to new civic realities. Mayflower 2 tangibly embodies those choices and risks for hundreds of thousands of lifelong learners each year. More than 25 million people have stepped aboard her decks to imagine the perils and contemplate the modern impacts of the historic crossing. Today, Mayflower 2 is a floating classroom and working vessel. Following her restoration and return to Plymouth in 2020, she was added to the National Register of Historic Places, illuminating that she is a historic ship in her own right. She was deemed historically significant for her association with the founding story of the United States and as a full-scale ship that embodies the distinctive characteristics of a 17th century English merchant vessel. In April 2021, Mayflower 2 received a Paul and Nikki Tsongas Award from Preservation Massachusetts in recognition of the project's significant work in historic ship restoration, and went on to win Preservation Massachusetts's People's Choice Award the following month. The fate of the original Mayflower remains unknown. However, some historians argue that it was scrapped for its timber, then used to construct a barn in Jordans, England. Given the dangers of the journey and the rough conditions aboard the original Mayflower, it was a miracle that reportedly only one person out of 102 perished on the 66-day voyage. The arrival of the Mayflower in 1620 is one of the signature events in U.S. history. 35 million people can trace their ancestry back to the original Mayflower. It is thought that there were around 30 children on board the original Mayflower during the epic voyage to America, but little is known about many of them in the historical record. During the original Mayflower's voyage, the Pilgrims' main diet is thought to have consisted primarily of a cracker-like biscuit called hardtack, salt pork, dried meats including cow tongue, various pickled foods, fish, oatmeal, and other cereal grains.
Now that's one big barrel of whiskey. While you're in Plymouth, Massachusetts, obviously you have to visit good old Plymouth Rock, especially since it is right next door to the Mayflower 2. Since it is an outside structure, there is no fee, which is great. For those of you who don't know the significance of Plymouth Rock, it is the site where the Supposedly, Mayflower Pilgrims disembarked their ship in 1620. Now, there is no historical evidence that exists to confirm Plymouth Rock as the Pilgrims' actual stepping stone to the New World. However, the boulder was identified as this spot in 1741, which was 121 years after the arrival of the Mayflower. So, is it the actual rock? The myth says that it is. But we will let you decide. Okay. If you have the time, I highly suggest you walk up the hill that is in front of Plymouth Rock, and you will see a whole bunch of really interesting monuments, including that of the great protector and preserver of the Pilgrims, as well as a monument that marks the first burying ground in Plymouth of the passengers of the Mayflower. Now, don't forget to walk around this particular monument, because on all sides there are different stories. And one part that is particularly interesting, at least to me. Another really awesome, historically significant place that Luann found for us that you really have to visit is the National Monument of the Forefathers, formerly known as the Pilgrim Monument. It commemorates the Mayflower Pilgrims. Dedicated on August 1st, 1889, it honors their ideals as later generally embraced by the United States. It is thought to be the world's largest solid granite monument. And it looks absolutely awesome and incredible. And I was awestruck. This 81-foot tall monument was commissioned by the Pilgrim Society. Now, the original concept dates to around 1820-ish, with the actual planning beginning in 1850. The cornerstone was laid August 2nd, 1859, by the Grand Lodge of Masons in Massachusetts. The monument was completed in October of 1888 and was dedicated with appropriate ceremonies on August 1st of 1889. And with that said, I'd like to thank the help of Davis.
You are very welcome.
And we look forward to you coming with us for more adventures in Massachusetts. And as always, have a great day.